Greetings. Hey, we wanted to record our presentation at the COP Fleet Forum in case you needed to go back and review our presentation. So this is the full presentation just like you saw at COP Fleet. So we present thermal markers for law enforcement vehicles. So why in the world would we do that? Well, here's the problem. So what's going on is that there are drones being purchased by law enforcement constantly, just buying them like candy, right? And so with that, in addition to the helicopters and fixed wings, we now have advanced imaging in the sky everywhere. Almost all of these airborne technologies have some sort of an advanced technology like a thermal camera or a night vision camera, low light camera, sometimes all of the above. And so now we have all this technology up in the sky. Well, why do we have that? Well, law enforcement is working in the middle of the night when there's not very much light. What do they need? Well, they need rapid identification of all the people, the units that they are working with in order to get effective command and control. Problem is, when you're working with this advanced imaging technology, you're often working with detection, not identification. So what IR.Tools is trying to do is we're helping to move from a paradigm of detection only to identification. Because when we move to identification, we're going to have less confusion, better command and control. So looking at our thermal markers, so they're going to work with all thermal devices. They're going to support aerial and ground imaging. That's going to allow you to accurately identify your units, allow you to complete your missions faster, improve your safety, and minimize confusion, and a better mission completion as well. So let's look at a quick video of what we do. So we're going to start here with a daylight camera. So you're going to see this just as you would in the middle of the day with lots of light. You're looking down, you can clearly see that alpha 1, 2. It's pretty obvious. Now we've moved to the thermal camera. And so now, still with the thermal camera, obviously you can still clearly see that same marker so that you can identify with no light out in the middle of the night. You're also going to see here that it's going to work when black hot or white hot, other modes of the camera. Now let's look briefly at the two different thermal films that we use with vehicle ID. So for one, we use the extreme thermal film. So the extreme thermal film is optimized for durability. So we designed that because we wanted it to last the life of a typical law enforcement vehicle. The clear thermal is a very distinct kind of a niche film. So it's visibly clear, thermally detectable or identifiable. So that is really for undercover vehicles and for suspect vehicle marking. So let's review some of the problems that we've received. So one was with Dale City, California. It says, hi, we're interested in identification for vehicles and persons to better identify officers and vehicles and thermal cameras. So note that they used the word identification twice there, and that they specifically pointed out that they had adopted UAS technology. In another case, somebody said, I'm a graphics provider to law enforcement agencies. I've had multiple requests for IR material for roof numbers and currently do not have a supplier. I think the key thing is multiple requests. So this is somebody that does graphics all day, every day, and multiple agencies are coming to them and saying, this is technology that we need. Another one, my agency has recently started using thermal imaging and I'm interested in your thermal markers. We're looking for thermal markers that can be placed on the top of vehicles and uniforms. Again, a key part there, vehicles and uniforms. So we're talking all about vehicles, but IR.Tools is very holistic in that we do marking for people as well as vehicles because you need to be able to identify both. Finally, we're using mostly rental unmarked cars and are having trouble communicating to the halo. This is clearly where that clear thermal might come in very handy. So let's look at a few case studies. So in this case, Louisville, Kentucky Fire Department reached out to us. Said, we are requesting pricing for thermal markers for the roof of fire apparatus. Well, why? Well, because they had multiple stations coming to the scenes, and so they needed to identify one from another. They're looking to improve identification, and they are using overwatch by drone. So very typical. So what was the solution? The solution was that we provided permanent decals on the roofs of the vehicles so that you could clearly identify during the day and during the night exactly who you were looking at. And you can see that here. So you can see in the daylight, you can clearly see that Echo 17, as well as nighttime with a thermal camera, you can also see that Echo 17 very clearly. Another case study was United States Secret Service. So in this case, their problem was that they had multiple dignitaries all in New York for the United Nations, and they were all in black SUVs. So they all looked the same, save little tiny flags on the front bumper. Well, from above, using the thermal camera, there was no way to identify which person they were looking at, which dignitary. So what we did for them is we actually supplied magnetic thermal markers that they could place onto the vehicles, whatever vehicle was used and rented at that time, so that they, from above, could clearly identify the dignitary they were looking at. And this is a typical picture of some magnetic alphanumeric markers, not the actual vehicles, but same as what you would see. Finally, Moose Jaw Canada reached out to us, and they had law enforcement vehicles. So they're looking to mark Explorer SUVs, wanted to know how they could see them, identify them. So similar to the first case study, we did thermal marker decals, a permanent solution that they could place onto their vehicles. Small point, they also reached out to us and said that they were very happy that they had washed the cars very many times and the decals were in place without a problem. Let's talk a little bit about the details of the extreme thermal film. So it is 100% passive. There's no power, no charging, no illumination required. So it just works off of an optical illusion, which, let's talk about that. How does it work? So the thermal film has the interesting characteristic that it is very good at reflecting heat and very poor at giving off heat. The environment is generally the opposite. We're very good at giving off heat and very poor at reflecting heat. So when we take two materials and put them side by side with these different characteristics, one looks colder than the other, and because of that, you can see that. So the extreme thermal film is optimized for durability. So we have it chemical resistant, it's UV resistant, and abrasion resistant. Overall, optimized for durability. Again, we were looking to make this so that it would last for the life of a law enforcement vehicle. So we did accelerated aging tests in Phoenix when we first developed this, and that determined 3 years of use, no degradation. We're just having our first markers starting to approach that. We haven't had any problem with that, so we've been very happy with durability. As far as color, you can have any color you want as long as you want black. So we have taken these films and added them to other colors of films where there was an aesthetic issue, wanted to create some different look. And we've also coupled these films with near infrared or night vision visible films to fuse those technologies together. So I want to let you know, rule of thumb, think about $100 per vehicle for thermal marking. So you can see it's a relatively inexpensive way to improve the effectiveness of your fleet. So when you're ready to purchase, so we're happy to work with you the way you like to work. So if you want finished products to install yourself, we can sell those to you. If you want raw materials to cut yourself, we can do that. If you're working with a graphics provider, we can sell them finished products or raw materials. So we're happy to work with you the best way for you. Again, the covert thermal clear film. So we said that this was a niche film primarily for law enforcement undercover vehicles and suspect vehicles. And this is a clear tape. And you can kind of see right here that we're looking right through the tape. Yet you can see in the thermal that very easily seen. So I want to thank you so much for your time in looking at this and look forward to an opportunity to help you out. Thank you so much.